I'm Cat, and welcome back to a very busy, congested London roundabout, where I'm going to be making a video about comparison being the thief of joy. Because if you're not in this situation right now, you might be real jealous, or jealous isn't even the right word. You might be real, oh God, I've never done a full roundabout that's this big on a bike, and it's terrifying even though it makes perfect sense, and I'm definitely doing it wrong, is what I can gather from all of this. Okay, so here we are. I got this now. So we want to make one more right turn, and then we're going in the good direction. Or maybe I want to go straight off this. Yeah, I think I'll go straight. Okay, let's go. Oh, don't die to buses, and I'll be living a good day. Anyway, so, oh no, another red light. See, it's roundabouts seem so hard, but when roundabouts get big enough, they just put red lights everywhere, and so it's not actually a challenge. It's just follow the red, like, it's follow traffic lights, which are the most basic rule in the universe, right? Like, when the light says red, don't go. When the light says green, you're probably fine to do so. I can't imagine how complex it is to set up this many traffic lights with this many dependencies and bike lights and whatever else. Okay, I found myself a bike lane. Ah, here we go. That's what I'm talking about. And then from here, we just hop left onto the next street. That doesn't feel correct. Is that what they want me to do? That is what they want me to do. They just expect me to be like, yeah, so now you just hop onto the street, and there we go. I did a roundabout, a full roundabout, because I wanted to do a full 360-degree turn. It was terrifying, but I did it. It was easy. So today I wanted to talk about comparison being the thief of joy. Because that's one of those phrases that exists. But I think it's much more interesting when you look here in a city, because you'll see places that are really, really, really nice. You know, like places where millionaires live, because they are literally £1 million plus apartments or £2 million plus houses. And you'll see those always be right next to some pretty sad looking house. Or, you know, we'll be honest, right? Some you know, like either socially or rented, or just, you know, like very cheap multiple occupancy apartments. And you'll be like, oh, that's really weird that you can have in the same city, on the same street, that exact same thing. And I feel like you don't get that outside of big cities. In fact, even most big cities around the world, especially American ones, right, tend to put people together by income bracket in a pretty close one-to-one way. Like, there are slightly nicer, you know, mansions in the suburbs compared to the other mansions in the suburbs. Mook mansions, if we're talking about American planning all of a sudden. But in general, you don't get the same level of, like, you know, I had to pick somewhere that wasn't so fancy. I mean, this is still central-ish London, so like these are most of $1 million, but most of $1 million is that's nothing in London. But but yeah, so when you're going around, when you're in a city like this, you'll find the biggest example to me is Tower Hamlets. So you got some of the worst poverty in the UK, right next to some of these skyscrapers that house some of the, you know, some of the world's largest wealth. And it's like, wait, how is that next to each other? And there's lots of interesting social, political things you can point to, but the fact that it exists at all is something interesting you can only really say about cities. The fact that you can have that be there at any point in time whatsoever says something. Ooh, look at this. This is a fancy cycle path. Okay, so am I going? Oh no, I'm not going. That feels like that was not okay, but anyway, yeah, I think that, yeah, this is really pretty. Okay, here we go. Here's a great example. I just went from some old houses to some very, very new ones. I'm assuming this is new from the pathway and everything else. I just went from some, you know, some like houses that existed and were fine to some very fancy apartments. I'm assuming these are apartments. If these are houses, then, okay, there we go. Those are houses. So we've proven the point. On the exact same street even, you can see like old Victorian house, still probably respectable, whatever. And then a whole development of very fancy, yeah, again, because it's London, it's brand new and it's in a desirable area, it's $1 million plus for a house. And so how do you have millionaires and people scraping by exist side by side? And how does that affect the city politics game? It's something I've been thinking about forever, because I think it does come back to that same point I raised, that comparison will steal joy from you. That you can be happy with something, until the moment you go, actually, I don't just want to be happy, I want to be the best. Because the truth is, you're never going to be the best at something. You're never going to be the biggest, the best, the one who can, I don't know, murder all the rest. But what you might be able to do, if you're really lucky, is you might just, maybe, be able to be happy by your own standards. You might be lucky enough to be the best at some very, very niche field. So, hate to say this to you right now, but you'll never be the world's best juggler. No matter how hard you try, you will not be the best juggler in the world. That is just not a thing that's going to be happening for you. But maybe you could be the best juggler from Louisville, Kentucky, whose name starts with a B. You know, if your name is Brad and you're from Louisville, Kentucky, and you're a juggler, you might be the best juggler under those characteristics. However, basically everyone knows that that's contrived as heck, and that contrived bestisms don't really count. You want to have something that you're the best at that people can recognize. And so what people instead do is they find the same amount of nicheness, but they try to find it in other ways. They try to find it in ways that seem less contrived. And so, for example, again, I'm not the best juggler whose name starts with B from Louisville, Kentucky, but instead, I'm the best bin juggler. I juggle bins, and I'm pretty good at it, which therefore makes me the best bin juggler in the world. And when people hear that, they're like, wow, the best bin juggler in the world? The best that's been able to prove it. And I've got this exact same thing when, if you look at my speedrunning career, I was the best Minecraft console edition speedrunner for several years, like 2014 to 2017, 18, something like 2019 maybe, I want to say. Mostly because people didn't speedrun that version of the game. I was the one who just decided, you know, it'd be fun just to see how fast we could do it, right? And as a result, accidentally became the best at something I spent just a week getting into. And man, this is a weird way to plan cycles around, but sure, I can live with it. The truth is, if you want to be good at something, you have to like segment, find the specific thing you're good at. And so when it comes to the universal things, like who is the world's best, I don't know, friend, who's the world's best lover, who's the world's wealthiest man, you can generally segment pretty well when you're just thinking like, oh yeah, I'm probably like, like in comparison to all the people around me, definitely me, right? I mean, assuming you surround yourself by people who are worse at loving, friendship, or money than you. But when you try to go on a global sense, there's 7 billion humans, you're just bound to be worse at things than other people. And funny thing is, with like these rich lists, there are people who are actively going out of their way to try and prove it to you, who are actively trying to be like, yeah, trust me right here. This is very much a thing. There's, you see this guy, he made a company, in that big rainforest in Brazil, selling books, and now he's worth 200 billion, or like 250 billion, whatever the number is. It fluctuates a lot based on the value of an Amazon share. But like, oh yeah, you think pulling down a job where you make 50K a year is good? Oh, I've never seen a dead squirrel before. That's sad. And right after the cute squirrel from yesterday, someone ran one over. That's tragic. The real sad thing about seeing so much city is how many dead animals I've had to confront. I saw a dead cat in Turkey. That was a sad one. Anyway, see the dead pigeon, but everyone expects, like, there's so many pigeons, like, does anyone really notice if a pigeon's dead? But most people don't, besides the pigeon's family, you heartless monsters. Yeah, it's really interesting that we have like actual metrics to compare and confirm, like, no, yeah, you are objectively not the wealthiest man. You're objectively not the best at this, like leaderboards and stuff. And I think that this can be really good when you use it for motivation. Like, comparison being the thief of joy, people say exclusively is a bad thing. And there is lots of bad to it, don't get me wrong. There is a lot of negatives to solely looking at your value by relation to other people's values. Okay, so we're turning right here, but we can't turn right until there's a gap. So we wait in this little box, and then we turn right from here. Easy as that. But yeah, it's an interesting one to me. Oh, let's go through this park actually. This will be fun. It's an interesting one that you can use this like as motivational power, because joy is something that, like, again, if you feel like, yeah, I have like 7 friends and I help them when they want to move, and once I even bought them a meal, I'm the best friend in the world. If you want to motivate yourself to be the best friend, then saying that is the best friend a person can be, and probably the best, like that's not enough. You need to be like, well, let me find people who are better friends than me and see what they're doing. If you want to be the best lover in the world, being like, oh yeah, well, maybe this is too graphic. My girlfriend enjoys her time around me. Maybe though, I hear there are people on the internet who say their girlfriends enjoy their time around them 3 times as much as they enjoy their time around their girlfriend. Wild, I know. You're meant to enjoy the time like an infinite to 0 ratio. I believe that's the way the church preaches it. But no, it's wow, I'm gonna try to be that. Or in the money thing, being like, I think 50k is respectable compared to the people around me. But what would be better is if I was worth 200 billion. You can't actually put off 200 billion. I mean, you can. Like, everyone says, like, oh, you'll never be this wealthy. Like, it's a big political cooling point. It's like, found a company that people are willing to buy shares in for $100 each and have 1 billion shares, and now you're worth 100 billion. Boom, there you go. I'm giving you the secrets right now. Where am I? This is a weird park. I don't want to leave it yet. I want to see the rest of this, because it looks pretty big. It's got some pretty nice areas too. But yeah, that's how you do the exact same thing. And you could start at any age. I mean, there's a lot more young billionaires these days, which to me is more proof that money does, like it used to be the wealthiest men in the world were always the 80-year-olds that had just had this like fashion empire, like the guy who owns that famous French fashion brand. I forget what it's called. The one. Everyone wants it and they get fakes of it or something like that. That brand, Bernard something or other. And it's like, yeah, well, he's just 80 and inherited a ton of money and then built that money very conservatively and slowly. But nowadays, you can become that level wealthy, age 40, which shows that clearly actually like we're improving mobility in some ways, at least. That's my takeaway from it. This is a very pretty bridge. Is it entirely unnecessary? I think it is. That's fun. Is there a ramp, or do you think it's just stairs? It's got a, we'll find out. I want to go up and down this bridge. I mean, if anything, just to test the speed on this. I feel like that'd be fun. Let's go up and down. Okay, there's already a step, and there's cobbles to get to the steps. So I don't think this is going to go as well for me as I'm predicting. Oh, and the bridge is closed. That's even sadder. Oh, well, that's tragic, isn't it? Okay, let's leave the park and just enter again, so we don't have to do another U-turn. It's always embarrassing when you have to admit you've made a mistake. But yeah, like, there's an interesting thing that, like, stealing joy from yourself is how you can push yourself to do more, right? Like, what's crazy to me? When you look at the world's wealthiest men, they all are, with a few exceptions, they all are still working. Why does, the Jeff Bezos of the world, the Elon Musks of the world, why do they show up to work every day when it's making, they have more material wealth than they'll ever need? Like, they are already, even if they stop working and start spending as much as they humanly can every day for the rest of their life, they probably won't be in a position too soon where they're going to lose all of that money, right? And so, or even they're going to like make a significant dent in it, right? And so you'd figure from that, the logical thing to do, the thing that you might do in their same situation, would be to stop. But again, if they were the sort of person to stop when their material circumstances stop mattering, then they might stop at the first 100 million. They might, anything past like 100 mil. Honestly, besides like yachts, anything past like 50 mil, 40 mil, like you're not making any material dent in what you're doing in your life. And so I bet there are a ton of people out there who totally do have that as their end target, who totally do have, okay, I think this is a cycle lane on the left here. Let's find out by going on it. Ooh, I'm on C35 now. There are a ton of people, I bet, who just stop because they're like, yeah, I have all the money I need and that a person would want, and that we don't hear about very often, because why would we, right? what are we gonna learn about them that's so interesting? Okay, let's hit the wait button and let's wait to cross. Oh, it doesn't work. Honestly, it would have been faster just to cross than to do this the correct way. Now I'm waiting a long time too. That's the worst bit. This is terrible. Also, is this a park that's split in two by a major road? I think it is. Okay, I'm gonna go. Oh, probably a little bit premature. No, that was fine. I had plenty of time. Anyway, so oh, I love these. To me, the best routes are not the ones where in a road. Like if I fall here, that's not instant death. That's nice to me. Having opportunities to fail without your life ending. I think that's the real value of being a good friend, lover, or wealthy. Being able to, it's something interesting about, okay, I'm gonna take a left turn here. It's something interesting about how my life has changed, honestly, is that the biggest thing I value from any money I get, besides nice things like, okay, here's a nice gadget I bought myself, actually. It's probably an unnecessary amount compared to the alternatives, but I actually feel the benefits of that every time I ride this thing. Like, I don't know if you've, during these videos, hopefully you've noticed, I don't know if you have, but it's really fun just like zoom in and like feeling fully in control of that, and also feeling like I'm exercising if I want to be, and feeling like I'm not exercising if I don't want to be, right? Like right now, am I exercising or not? Who knows? All I know is I'm going real fast, real fun. But yeah, it's really interesting to me that, it's really interesting to me when you look at like, oh, okay, we're fine. It's really interesting to me to look at like the way, you know, super wealthy people behave in any way. Super interesting to me to look at anyone who's better at me than anything. Like seeing the way the world's best speedrunners do things where they're grinding all day, every day, just to hope to get like a great seed so they can get 10 seconds off their best. You know, like that's how random seed glitchless is. You spend 99.9% of your time loading up random worlds to vaguely improve your skills, for the 0.1 or 0.001% of the time where you get a seed that is good enough to actually use those skills. And if I focused on that comparison enough, I could totally use it as a way to improve my skills. Be like, okay, if I want to do it, that's how. It sucks sometimes when like, every time I set a record, it's beat very quickly because of the public-facing nature of my my thing. Is like a lot of people see that and go, yeah, I might give it a try, and then some of those people beat it. Some people are a bit more malicious about it. Some people are like, oh yeah, well, you say you're the best, but I'm gonna beat it, and then I'm gonna you know, make a whole thing about like you have to use your publicity to say that actually I'm the best now. In the same way you made a video talking about how you're the best in the world, now you should have to make a video talking about how I'm the best in the world, because I am. And you know, some of those people like get real aggressive and try to be like, oh, why? I know, it's one of the most frustrating things in the world to me, like people trying to ruin the entertainment factor of a video so they can focus on them, you know? Like people who send, who are like, yeah, you should record a collab with me because I'd be so interesting. What they really mean is, you know, I like to focus on this. But anyway, sorry, I get distracted very easily. I don't know if that's ever come up before on this channel. See, now the cycleway just goes on the pavement. That's interesting. I can live with that. Anyway, so oh, it only goes on the pavement for a bit, and then we take a little right turn to Oxley Close, apparently. So, okay, are we going? We are going. I think that comparison being the thief of joy is mostly a bad thing. It's mostly something that leads to less satisfaction in your life. But also, it's what leads humans to do the biggest, the craziest, and the best things that we do. If it weren't for that, then maybe we wouldn't be as motivated to, you know, build giant retail websites that literally change the way we interact with buying things, or cars that are changing the way we interact with fuel. You know, like instead of putting this petroleum that gets pumped from a desert in Saudi Arabia, we just use electricity. You know, it's like we did 100 years ago, and is the more efficient way of doing so, because instead of having a goddamn like engine that instead of having the magic boom boom be in your car. Oh, we've ended up back on the same Q1 that I was at before. This isn't the way I got off it though, right? Am I crazy? No, this can't be the same route. It's gotta be somewhere different. It is looking pretty similar though. Huh, today I learned. Well, you know what I'm gonna do? There's a little park on the right here. Let's go through there instead. I like the fun little routes. And those fun little routes involve a thing like this apparently. Anyway, yeah, it's really interesting to me that some of the best things we achieve are solely by doing that, making ourselves unhappy through comparison thing. And so the reason this relates to cities, in my opinion, is because everyone is having to compare themselves all the time, or at the very least it's easier to. In the same way, you can live in a city and not eat out at all, but you're surrounded by options to eat out. And I mean in relation to food, not obviously, you know, I won't make that joke. We'll save the crassness for now. Yeah, it's you're surrounded by opportunities to eat out, and so you slowly are more likely to. Okay, are we going forwards here? Okay, we are. You're surrounded by more opportunities to do so, and so it shifts your behavior that way. You don't have to compare yourself to others when you live in a city, but how can you not when you see, like, I don't know, when you live there across the street from here, these are actually pretty comparable houses in a big way. You know, I was trying to prove a whole point in this video. I've done a pretty bad job at it. Okay, so when you live, look how nice these houses are. But then look at the end of that. Oh Christ, okay. I broke a little too hard there. Okay, you live in a real nice £1 million, something a little over $1 million, I'd guess, based on the area. How can you not compare yourself to those people if you're like living in a, you know, again, a shared HMO thing, and it's like, oh, here it does get hard, doesn't it? It is very challenging. It is very challenging to not do that. When you live in an area that's really badly served by, I don't know, public transport, how can you not be jealous of the wealthy, you know, west of the city that gets not just buses, but express buses? I think Croydon gets an express bus, but we're nowhere near Croydon right now. You know what? How can you not be jealous? Or like, you know, the tube serves North London way better than the South, for instance. So even if you live in your £1 million house here, and you're like, yeah, well, I'm doing better than the neighbours, but you know, there's no tube connections, so it's a little bit harder to get around. Got to take buses everywhere, and buses are slower than underground trains because buses have to stop for traffic and people on their bikes or whatever else. You know, this comparison goes all the way up and all the way down. And because humans focus much more about the up, it's like, oh man, yeah, I might live in my £5 million, you know, family home, my God, in West London. But you know what sucks? Is that there are people who own penthouse apartments, you know, near here. They're worth 10 mil, and they get a concierge and a butler and all of their, you know, like they don't have to ever call a plumber or an electrician because someone is on site to make sure those things are good. You know, like having, you know, like they have a maid and a butler, and they don't even need to go out to eat because food comes to them. They have a private chef or whatever. And then the £10 million and the thing is like, yeah, but you know what'd really be nice would be owning, you know, being a royal, you know, having generational money that lasts beyond how I last. And so that's you know, and then those people are like, yeah, but you know, then there's the Jeff Bezos of the world who can have 100 family homes for every part of the city, who can decide on a whim to enter a market and probably have a good chance of disrupting it. You know, like Amazon's entering healthcare, because they, again, like the idea is lower the costs, but also by doing it in such a big scale, make some money for themselves, right? And it's like, man, imagine being so wealthy you can just shift the world based on your own desires. That's gonna be nutty. And then they're like, oh yeah, but imagine being the president of a small corrupt country where even though you're only worth 5 billion yourself, you have control over a government that has annual expenditures, you know, in the in the hundreds of billions, and that all of the government assets, the palaces, are effectively yours. And then that guy, you know, there's an endless chain of, if you're surrounded by these people and you see them every day, you're thinking about it, or you're more likely to. And all of it is robbing you of your joy. And all you need to be aware of if you live in a city is to think about that. Think about the fact that by default, you are surrounded by more food options. So you are more likely to make a bad food decision. By default, you are surrounded by more. Is that a bike path on the right there? Do you see that? There's some lines there. If it is, I want to hop on it. But there's a car behind me. You know, let's do it anyway. Okay, is this a bike path? Let's find out. It must be, right? If it's not a bike path, you know, it's safer here, and that's what matters. Where does this go to and from? I'm enjoying these like rides around London because I'm learning so much about weird bicycle infrastructure. Like, why did that road, did it just end? Was that the entirety of it? There's got to be something else on this side of the road that it connects to, right? There's no way they just built that and said, yep, that'll do. And then there's a thing here, but where's this going to take me? Yeah, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to see where that actually ends up. Because that was a cool bike path. Again, the whole point of these rides is I'm going for fun bike rides, and we'll talk about I don't know, we'll talk about the pressing feelings of inequality along the way if we want to, but really we'll talk about what affects me, because I know it's I feel like nudging, even though like a lot of people don't like it, but it is the most effective thing. And so you need to be good at nudging yourself, rather than saying, yeah, I'm gonna literally kill myself if I'm not worth $1 million by 28. I'm gonna literally go on a shooting spree or whatever the heck your dumb options are. You gotta be like, yeah, well, if I if I do this amount, if I earn that bonus, in my case the closest thing to bonuses are like ad deals, I allow myself to spend a small amount of it on me, on something ludicrous and small and fun. It really does just end. They just built a cycle lane in the middle of the path and it goes nowhere, and I can't get over that. Okay, the London Network 2 is over here on the left. Let's go find out what that is. London Network 2. See, there's a funny thing about bike routes, and that like there's a separate bike system for the whole of the UK, and then there's like a national route system which is like meant to be more express than that, and then there's the London route system, and then there's the site which is done by that same UK wide thing, and then London, the borough, the city, the wider government, they have their own naming system, but they've got lots of different letters. There's like C, there's CS, and there's Q, but they're phasing out CS and turning it into C, even though there's a lot of overlapping C's and CS's. And long story short, you have no idea where you're going when you follow a sign, and I think I lost it at the end. And here we are, we're in a, this is nice. This is like what, like 80s, 90s builds. It's very nice. There's a big water tower or gas tower in the distance. Things are good around these parts, huh? But you know what's not good around these parts? The public parks. Look how sad that one is. No, those are just some dog statues there. You know, I could spend all day. Oh, no, we are on the London Cycle Net. We're on the London Network 2. We are still on it. I wonder where it goes. I wonder if it's even well signposted. Every time I try to follow one of these national routes, I get lost so quickly. Because you need to know where you're going before you go on one. You can't just decide, I'm bored, let's follow the route. You know, no joyrides, no joyride? I can't say joyride. I wonder what's wrong with my brain. I'm getting worse at speaking as I make more videos. I might have to go speak to like a speech therapist. I don't even know. See, look, it's the National Route 425 as well as the London Route 2. What does that even mean? Where is this? Where are we going? It doesn't say, it just says we're on London Route 2. You need to know what's on that route. You need to know why you want to be going there long before you ever step foot on it. For better or for worse, I guess. Okay, still going forwards past. Again, nice new area. I wonder what, I guess this is, I think we're in the industrial bits of southeast London now. So I'm guessing this used to be like big warehouse or a dockland or something, and they've converted it, or they converted it a while ago, back before London had its big property boom in the last 20 years. Probably build flats if they were doing the same thing now. But okay, there's a bridge that says refugees welcome, and there's no other signs that tell me that I'm still on route. Okay, there's a bicycle sign going right there, even though I could go forwards, but then there's a sign there telling me if I do go forwards, it's a dead end. So what do? I guess I turn right. I guess I guess that's what we do. Very interesting stuff, all things considered. You know, this video is changing. I can do that mid-video. What? Who cares about comparing yourself to things? Let's talk about cycle infrastructure. A lot of people who talk about it on YouTube do it from this super vitriolic position of like, almost everyone should cycle. It should be the default method and so on and so forth. But I've always had the opposite belief of like, nah, it's like a way to get around a city. Probably the most efficient for like the inner zones, and then it's like marginal when you get to the next most inner zones. And once you get to the edges of a city, or once you get to between cities, it's not very useful at all. If you want to make it useful, you need to encourage electrically assisted, honestly, maybe not even electrically assisted, electrically driven. Once you're living in like Watford and you want to commute to central London, like, you know, Tower Bridge, or you want to commute from, okay, I'm gonna signal right so he knows I'm turning, and then we're gonna follow the cycle route maybe. Yeah, it's really weird to me that like we you know, like we need better solutions to not only infrastructure but also to the vehicles themselves. Once you start talking about any real distances, and then it's like, well, then it stops being the primary solution there, right? Like between, okay, wait, there's a sign saying New Cross Deptford to over there on the left. Let's go to New Cross Deptford. That should be fun. But no, yeah, to finish what I was saying there before I was rudely interrupted by myself. Like when you're talking about when we're talking about oh god, when we're talking about longer distances, and when we're talking about things like that, of course we're going to get into the region of you need to have a big truck for goods, you need to have a vehicle with a high capacity. Oh god, that's scary. You know, you're going to need to have these things. Why wouldn't you, you know? I think when we're talking about it, we need to talk about it in terms of nudges. You know, oh, okay, I can make it, I can make it, I can make it. Should I have made it though is the bigger question. Should I have made it is the bigger question. Anyway, yeah, I think you need to start talking more about the balance, and you need to start. But like again, I think with every political message, that sign just says nothing. With every political message, you need to try. You know, if you don't have universality, then people start saying, "Oh yeah, but I should be in the group." You know, if you say like, "Oh yeah," to go back to my point, and why city politics are different than non-city politics, it's like, yeah, I believe. Okay, there was a cycle sign on the left there, and there's not one ahead of me, which makes me think I took a wrong turn. But yeah, as I was saying, when you're talking about city politics, everyone in the city, which again in the case of the UK, but also in case of places like you know, the United States, people who live in the wealthiest states and the wealthiest cities in the wealthiest states, you know, the ostensibly the rich are the ones most in favor of taxing the rich. And you look into it and it never is a thing of like, oh yeah, they really do believe they have too much money and they'd like to give it to the government to do something better with. And it's like, no, you are misunderstanding entirely there. What actually is happening there is that people are you know, people are seeing themselves as being much less than they are because they're doing this comparison as the fever joy thing all the time. You give people two categories. You say there's rich, then there's middle class, then there's, you know, or like there's comfortable, and then above comfortable is rich. Again, like it's funny, like we created a free class system to explain like there's working class who need to work to survive, there's middle class who are working for like you know, extra luxuries in life. And then there's the upper class, the wealthy class, the whatever, you know, the whatever class you want to call it, who basically live in a separate world, doing their own separate things, because you know, they are of that level of wealth, and you know, they don't need to work to survive because their capital makes them their money makes them their money, or something like that. You know, like, and the problem is that people are very good at defining themselves down a category. You know, I'd love to say like, oh yeah, well, someone who is working class, I think I will just, yeah, I'm gonna 180. I want to see that left turn that I didn't make before, because I definitely lost the cycle route, right? I definitely lost the cycle route. So I'm wondering where I lost it. I'm hoping I'll find a sign that will get me back on there if I believe in myself hard enough. But okay, there's a big old lorry behind me. Ugh, and it's not a good road. This is not my ideal situation in life. Yeah, I'm gonna hop on the pavement real quick. Just avoid that. Anyway, yeah, maybe the railway bridge. Maybe there's a clue around here somewhere. You know, it should be easily marked out, and it should be as separated as it can, so people actually want to get into cycling. You know, there's a percentage of people who are hardcore cycle everywhere, but you need to encourage people who are deadly terrified to get into cycling, so that they can mostly go on these things that are separated. Again, most people, in the same way people are terrified of when I'm talking to myself in public, people are terrified of me just riding a bike when there's giant vans going ahead, because all you can think about is, oh god, you're gonna die. That's all you can think about, and because it's all you can think about, because it's the top thought on your mind, you know, and like it's going to stop you from wanting to cycle some huge amount. Okay, it's probably this way. There's a nice park here, and there's someone cycling through that park. Why am I not cycling through the park? You know, I can change that. I can change that for sure. Just take a little 180. I'm going to now cycle through the park. There's no easy like curb cut though. I don't know what I'm meant to do. Okay, so I give way and then I do a U-turn after giving way. Okay, I can do that. Yes, I can. Okay, that's not me giving way. It's doing the opposite of giving way. And okay, we're dead. We're not dead. Oh, that car was going too fast. See, this is like that's a moment where you have to like commit or like not. I think that's where things get bad. Aha! And there is a sign saying bike route up ahead. It says on the right here, not on the left, but whatever. I found a park. It's nice. I can finish my thoughts on, actually, how much battery do I have left? 23%. I can finish my thoughts. Oh, there's a lovely little pond here. I've been missing geese recently. Where are the geese at? There's a pond here. There should be geese in the pond, but there is no geese, despite there being a pond. There are just pigeons. Anyway, oh, this is Q1 again. I'm so endlessly interested by this. See, even the ones that are well marked out, London does a better job than the UK does in general, this sort of thing, because obviously biking makes more, like, London has too many cars and not enough bikes in their opinion. Well, I mean, in anyone's opinion who can see the width of the road compared to the number of cars on them. But yep, there's no more signs telling me. Okay, there's a sign over here, I guess, saying go left. I could have just gone left the whole, whatever. You know, it's fine. I'm good. I'm okay. I found a park. It's a pretty park. There's a seesaw that looks real quirky. And I'm going under a dodgy railway arch. This is what I like to do. So yeah, I think that to rebound my thoughts back to wherever they were, I think something along the lines of, you give people multiple categories, people are good at like humbling themselves. And you give people categories of like, oh yeah, these people need to switch to bikes and these people don't. People are like, oh yeah, I'm in these people. You know, if you own a, I just saw a dead pigeon. Today's a bad day for seeing dead animals. But like, of course, I'm in the group of people who need my car because I have to drop kids off at school. You can't drop kids off at school on a bike. What would we do? Would we both ride bikes there and then I'd drop them off and then they'd lock the bike up and then on the way home they'd unlock the bike and I'd ride that. That seems ludicrous. Of course I need a car for the kids. You know, I mean, I go to the store and I need shopping. I'm very unique in that I buy shopping from the store and then I take it home in my car. I'm the one person who's like this, and so you need to be like, oh no, everyone can ride a bike for everything all the time. And it's not true, but you just need to encourage people that, like, yeah, basically every problem can be overcome. Lots of problems can be overcome. And it's a problem to me that we have to talk in universalities for things that are clearly not universal. Oh, there's a cafe here. It's a very quirky way to do one. Huh. But yeah, we like to talk in universalities for things that clearly aren't. We like to be like, oh yeah, every, I don't know, should we get into race politics? Every white person is blank. You know, is it positive things? Are you hearing positive things about every white person? I bet you're not. You're hearing positive things about, and it's like, well, this is dumb. This is our big problem, is that we don't know how to be like, actually, we should look at circumstances, eh? Maybe there should be some nuance, eh? You know, rather than, you know, it's the same with like, basically everything. Every well-meaning, ooh, scooter court. Oh no, that's scooter court. By the way, I lost the path again. I don't know where I lost it. I don't know where it was going, but I'm in a random, I'm next to Mermaid Tower. Oh, these are nice actually. Look at these houses. I think it's something I only see in London is like double stacked houses. So like it's a 2-story house and they just build a house on top of that house. And it's just so interesting to me because I've never seen it anywhere else. Maybe it is common and I've just not looked. Because I look at housing way more often in London because I spent like a year doing it, trying to work out where I wanted to live. And for some reason, because it was such a big financial decision, it's one I'm going to spend, you know, years of my life paying off. It's one where I have to be like, you know, was I right? Did I make the right call there? Even dumb stuff like, you know, did I pay the right amount? You know, maybe if I negotiated, could have saved a few K here or there. And it's like, man, yeah, second guessing yourself. It's gonna, you know, like comparing yourself to some imaginary thing. Like, you know, with the new tube stations opening, oh, I think this video is gonna have to end actually. Thank you for watching, by the way. Hope you all enjoyed it. There's a lot of ways that you can rob yourself of joy that you probably shouldn't do, and I hope this video is a reminder that that is bad, unless you like bad, in which case it is good. And if you enjoy, oh wait, I found it again. Okay, I found Q1 again. I wonder where this ends up. I wonder where everything ends up. I wonder how it takes so many weird curves and dives. Like, are these gates permanently open for the cycleway? Because if they're gates that are permanently open, why are there even gates here, you know? What's the end game for all of that? Oh, and here's Q1 again. So I'm gonna ride this all the way to the end, but I don't have the GoPro battery to take you with me. I'll let you know where it ends up. Let me know if you'd like to see a video of me taking one of these routes all the way across London, because I really want to do that one day. It just takes a bit of setup, because I probably would have to go, you know, like take the bike all the way to one end, then ride it to the other, and then after the video's done, you know, take it all the way home. You know, it'd be a lot of setup, like I was saying. But let me know if you'd like to see it anyway, because I like to see what you like to see. Well, this is an interesting bike, isn't it? Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Third channel, don't care. Goodbye.